Hello again, and we continue to work through James. Obviously, it's going to take several videos to get through each chapter on this, and we're still dealing with what the heading in the NIV Bible is Trials and Temptations. Remember, back in chapter 2, consider it pure joy when we go through all kinds of trials. And then the last one, we looked a bit why we should consider it pure joy, something that we're not absolutely all in favour of, or it's not a natural reaction, but it's to make us more Christ-like. And then we started to look at some practicalities, because none of us like going through trials. And the key thing is that God, well, two key lessons from last time. One, God gives generously without finding fault. Because when we go through trials, our faults are highlighted. We become more and more aware of them. But even so, we ask God and he will give to us generously without finding fault. He does not look for an excuse not to give to us. And then there's also that we must have faith. We must believe that God is for us and not against us. That God has our best interests at heart. That God cares for us. So let's go on. Now, some people saying that in some ways James is like, it's a bit like Proverbs. In books like Galatians, you've got a constant thread running through the whole book. Likewise with Romans, or with most of the book at least in Romans. Or 1 Peter. James is sometimes said to be like Proverbs, in that it's a set of totally random, but not greatly connected bits of wisdom. I think the stuff here, just going to read verses 9 to 12, could be looked at like that, but I think it can also be looked at in the context of being related to trials. So let's read 9 to 11 first of all. We'll see if we've got time for 12. Believers in humble circumstances ought to take pride in their high position. But the rich should take pride in their humiliation, since they will pass away like a flower. For the sun rises with scorching heat and withers the plant. Its blossom falls and beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich will fade away, even while they go about their business. Right, so what's it saying here? Well, first of all, generally, there is the lesson that worldly wealth, worldly fame, worldly status is transitory. It will not last forever. The day that we die, any wealth we may have will count for nothing. Any status we may have will count for nothing. So there's that just very cold, hard fact. But let's look at this in the context of going through trials. First of all, trials affect the rich and the poor, the high and the low. Let's look first of all at believers in humble circumstances ought to take pride in their high position. So what happens if you are in humble circumstances and you're going through a trial? Then we need to recognise we have been chosen by God. We've been chosen by the King of Kings. And we are going to share in his glory. So whatever might be happening down here in this life right now, we're in a good position. What happens if we're in a high position? And if you are, then we're going through trials. One of the things that's probably threatened is either your wealth or your status. And James here says you should take pride in your humiliation. That's not an easy thing to do, is it? And then he says, why? Why don't you do that? Because any earthly wealth or earthly status is going to pass away one day anyway. In a sense, we've lost nothing. think I said right at the start of this stuff on James. James is very blunt and takes a very just down the line approach to things. Calls a spade a spade. And says that the beauty and earthly beauty and wealth will fade away. And now that's not to say we should never have any wealth. But with wealth, any wealth that we do have, or any status that we might get in this earth, in this life, we accept it as a gift from God. And we use it as a gift from God. We do not put our faith in it. We do not make it at the source of our security. And while it is perfectly fine to enjoy the gift, we also seek to bless others at the same time. And then if one day it will pass away. If that comes in the day we die, or if it comes before we die, doesn't mean we'll find it easy. But we haven't, it's not like losing our life. And then, we'll read verse 12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. Going through trials is difficult. There's no two ways about it. But we must persevere. It says, blessed is the one who perseveres. Means we are in an honoured state with God. And we will receive the crown of life. Trials are good for us. We don't find it easy. But if we walk through them with Christ, if we walk through them with the Lord, looking to him for his mercy, for his grace, for his help, then we will receive the crown of life. Amen.